Could do better. Those 3 words. Could do better. When was the first time that you heard them? When was the first time that you saw a number circled in red at the top of a test and felt ashamed? For me, the first time I heard those words, I was still a young child and I was beginning in school. And I remember asking my mother, what did the teacher write on my test? And as she read down the list, she got to mathematics and it said, could do better. I just remember being so confused. I had never thought that I was bad at math because I was too young to be tested properly. I was too young to have even started comparing myself to other kids because I was childishly oblivious, thankfully. But what really stuck with me about that moment and made me remember the detail of it down to the color of the teacher's hair who said it was that it was the first time that I considered my own potential. It was the first time that I thought about the education system as a whole and how I was going to fit in it. You see, there's nothing wrong with saying could do better, because she was probably right. It's fine to say could do better, but the problem was that the language I started to use about my own potential was negative. I thought there was an expectation of me that I wasn't meeting, and the tools and the methods that were before me weren't working for me. So as I continued through the education system, I became more and more hopeless. I became frustrated. The reason I was frustrated was because there was so much going on in my mind. I had so many ideas, and my mind actually understood everything that was going on in class. Actually, sometimes class didn't move fast enough for me. I really could understand everything. But that understanding did not show up in tests. And I began to believe that those numbers and letters that were circled in red at the top of my exams defined my ability to engage in the academic world. That's the issue, is that it becomes a problem when we start to ingrain those thoughts. So where do we collect these ideas from of how intelligent we are? Where do we collect these ideas from of how creative we are or how successful we can be in life? Maybe you had a similar experience to me in school. Maybe you didn't. Maybe it was fine for you. Maybe it was so fine that you took an IQ test. Well, IQ stands for intelligence quotient. That means the measure of intelligence. Now, this test was actually invented by a French psychologist called Alfred Binet at the end of the Industrial Revolution. It was invented with the purpose of identifying the children who were struggling in that current education system and providing them with the means to still engage. And he was always forthright about the limitations of that test. But now, that test is what we know today as the intelligence quotient test, the IQ test. It's a test with a list of questions that tests your reasoning and your mathematical and your logical skill, and then spits a number out at you that somehow defines the most complex organ on the earth. Let's just think about that for a second. The brain is the most complex organ on earth. And scientists are still baffled by it. They're still trying to define intelligence. I've read over 77 definitions of it. And the only kind of summary that I can find is that it's the brain's ability to acquire and apply knowledge and skill. I mean, just think about this. The brain, the most complex organ on earth, in all of its capacity, in all the things that we don't know about it yet, and yet we think that we can measure it with a fixed set of questions. How ridiculous is that? IQ test that spits out a number that defines your intelligence could do better to a young child. There's something wrong. But it's not all bad news. I have a good story to tell. Because when I was transitioning from school into college, something incredible happened to me. I watched a TED Talk. I know. It's cheesy considering the circumstances of today. I realize that. But I watched a TED Talk by Sir Ken Robinson about schools and creativity. And he cracked open this fundamental truth that had been frustrating me for my whole life. And it was epically moving. It changed me. It meant so much to me to hear someone speaking on an international platform, someone educated saying that there's more than just one way of being smart, and schools are killing the creativity that is naturally in us. It blew me away. And the reason why I'm here today is because that change that happened in me, it gave me more confidence. Because I was enthused to go and research and read about what intelligence actually was. I just couldn't help myself. I was a little bit obsessed. And I would just go and find out all the things that scientists had to say about what the brain was and how it could be tested and what intelligence actually means. And the more that I read, the more that I was shocked. I mean, honestly, the brain is just so vast and it's so deep. And there's so much going on, and there's so many different ways that it can navigate life and take in new information and put out new information. So why do we think that we can measure it in the way that we have been measuring it? Now, perhaps this is just my story, but perhaps it's everyone's story. So how do I know that I can share this with you today and that it's an idea worth sharing? Well, in the work that I've been doing with young people for the past few years, and now in my work at the gallery under the National Gallery's Apollo project for young people, we're co-creating a program that is on the values of education, creativity, and well-being. And I get to, as the leader of that project, infuse it with my passion and my excitement for how this truth can change a life. And I'm seeing young people change before my eyes, and we're only just beginning. So if this idea, so simple but so significant, can create real change, then it's worth taking away with you and thinking about it and nourishing it as a thought. Because in the work that I'm doing, I get to use intelligence as a starting point, creativity as a tool, and self-esteem as a goal. And what's happening is the knock-on effect of those things leads to a person taking opportunities in this life that they otherwise wouldn't. It's true for me. I started reaching for more opportunities, for higher opportunities, because of this new truth. I didn't get every single opportunity, believe me, but in the ones that I was rejected from, I became more resilient. And in the ones that I got, they pushed me on to keep spreading this message. So trust me, I'm seeing this unfold, not just for me, for other people. And this is the thing, this little idea can bring life. And don't we want more people to have life? Don't we want that for ourselves? I want people to have more life. I want people to have more opportunities. And I don't want them to get tied down to those could-do-betters that are planted in our minds as children and that are reinforced by a broken and exclusive education system. Today, I'm standing inside a red circle that means something so different than the ones that used to surround my test course. Trust me, the day that you start believing in the potential of your own brain is the day that the opportunities in your life change. Thank you.